Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Mindset Reset Monday. Another Mindset Reset Monday, you guys, in another series. Another series. We are starting here at Life Lessons, you guys. I'm excited about this series, right? It is all about planning, and I love it because it is truly about creating your roadmap. So in April, we're going to be creating your roadmap, you guys, really seizing control of life's choices, you guys, with a plan. All right, with a plan. And we know that I love acronyms. So, plan is an acronym, right? Good morning, Miss Melissa. Prioritizing is what we're going to talk about this week. List and act and navigate. All right, but this week, you guys, we're talking about prioritizing, right? And what are we prioritizing? I love this because, we talk about goals and things like that, but I'm gonna just, make it different and make it more engaging. And so we're talking about um values, all right? Because values is an important part, it's such an essential part to our life, to how we move in our life, to what we do in our life. Okay. So today's session is all about what stories really shape our values, you guys. I'm excited. If y'all excited about this new series, really creating a roadmap, right? Seizing control of life's choices, more powerful, your life choices, right? Seizing control over that. So rewrite the story, listen, reclaiming your value. That's what we're talking about today. My why for this session is really to help participants connect to the origin of their values by examining the stories they have internalized so that you can really begin to live in conscious alignment, right? Not subconscious survival. Okay. I want you to start living in conscious alignment and not subconscious values, you guys. Listen, the disclaimer for today is truly that this session is truly designed to help you identify and understand the impact of your stories, right? And really help you to really transform, right? And be more intentional in your actions, okay? And really helping you work and navigate through this inner work. But we know, right? Intention with no action is not at all work. So we have Project Life there to really help you move through that. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Listen, I want to welcome you back to Life Lessons with Dr. Shiela Little. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Shiela Little. Okay, this is a part of the Project Life series. Life is an acronym. Our love of self, interactions with others, our focus, and our energy. And Project Life is truly where we turn theory into practice, you guys. So let's take our deep breath. All right, let's take our deep breath. This is your time. Okay. No pressure, just your presence. All right. We've already done what we're supposed to do with our person this morning. Gratitude, whatever we needed to do to take care of our person. All right. So we're going to feel our feet on the floor, right? Our legs, right? If we're standing, right? Our thighs. If we're laying in the bed, we're wiggling our toes, just getting our bodies this morning on this Mindset Reset Monday, right? Our butts in the seat, our torso. Yeah. Feeling that up our chest, our backs, down our arms and our hands, just getting real present, breathing in and out. Again, no pressure, just our presence, right? Up our necks, just getting present in the body so that we can what? Be alert. We're coming together as a community, setting our intention for the day. Again, if we're at work, this is just us listening, right? More of a podcast, just listening for our insight as we move forward in life and getting this bite-sized recipe for the day, right? To really help shift our perspective, right? Shift our perspective. All right, so drop a word in the chat. Drop a word in the chat. Just describe how you feeling this morning. How are you feeling this morning? No judgment, just your awareness. All right. I am feeling excited about this month's session. It's four weeks left, approximately 4 weeks left. So I really do plan on this being an impactful 4 weeks as we go together. You all know that if you want to become more engaged, I just would say, Miss Jackie said she's sleepy this morning. Okay. I would just say that Miss Melissa says she's feeling exhausted. Okay. So there's a thing. I can get that. I would say that if you guys want to come along on this journey, again, sign up for that growth membership at SheilaLittle.com/life, right? $47. That is going up after this month. That's where you can get your journals, right? You get all the replays. You can listen to it on podcasts, and they're made in series. Pep said he's feeling bold. So they're made in series. So you can, kind of take it like a course over, I think Eric Thomas said, I would rather you read one page 100 times than 100 pages once, right? And so some of these series may be more powerful to you. So, we had the lemon series, and then we just got over the shape series. And this series is our plan series, right? Really, this month's series is all about planning your life, right? Rewriting or seizing control of your life, right? So when you take that membership, you can actually take these more like miniature courses and do them over and over again and use that workbook. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel, right? And then also invite a friend, right? We've been here now for this is our third month, going into our third series. So invite a friend, right? Tag someone, let them know about these life lessons that they could be getting, so that they can also start to shift and transform their life. Good morning, Lewis. All right. Miss Jackie said, I'm sure I've asked before, but how do you join Project Life? At SheilaLittle.com. I'll follow up with you, Miss Jackie. SheilaLittle.com/life. And my name is SHIELA /life. But I'll follow up with you later on, Miss Jackie. I'll give you a call or DM you. All right. Okay, so let's get into our session this morning, you guys. Listen, this session is for you if you've been living on autopilot, you guys, making decisions based off of habit, fear, or pressure, right? You and you've already, or you're ready to make you're ready to start making choices rooted in who you truly are today. All right, who you truly are today. Okay, so again, this is about the title of this is truly um, reshape. We're talking about stories, but we're talking about values. And I want to talk about what are values, right? What are values? You've heard me talk about values before, but values are really the core beliefs that really guide your choices, shape your priorities, and really define what matters most to you. All right. It's about what matters most to you as an individual. So everybody don't share the same values, you guys. Listen, they are the internal compass that tells you what feels right, meaningful, or your non-negotiables, even when no one is watching. All right. In simple terms, values equals what you stand on, what you stand for, or what you're willing to sit in, right? These are the things that you really fight for, right? They influence how you spend your time, right? Who you surround yourself with, what you say yes or what you say no to, how you respond to pressure or plans, and what gives you peace and creates this inner conflict within us. The reason I really talked about this week is all about prioritizing, right? Prioritizing life. That's the first thing in planning. We need to prioritize. And what do we need to start prioritizing? We need to start prioritizing our values. But a lot of us don't understand what our values are. And that's what this week's conversation is about. Okay. So here's some examples of what some core values are. Integrity. All right. Rest. Freedom and autonomy. That's like one of my highest values, just freedom to be me. Okay. Faith is a value, justice, growth, peace, creativity, love, honesty, excellence, service, safety. All right. These are values that people have. And I love it when I'm working in relationships because people get into arguments and conflicts. And sometimes they feel like they're in conflict because of what's being said. But at the root of it, it's a different value system. One person really values, just say, safety, right? And another person values growth, right? And so they're like willing to leave their job, they're willing to grow, they're trying to be an entrepreneur and they want to start a business. And the other person's like, listen, I value safety. Why we just can't, have a 9 to 5 and settle down, right? These are two totally different value systems, and these are the compasses in which these two individuals are coming into a relationship, and they have no idea that they're running on autopilot by these value systems that they have not unearthed yet. All right. And so it's very important for you to learn and prioritize what your values are. Why? Why? Because when you live in alignment with your values, you guys, you feel clear, grounded, and energized. But when you live out of alignment, you start feeling resentful, exhausted, confused, and fake. All right. When you're when your outer life doesn't match your inner truth, right? You start to lose joy. You start to lose like this sense of you start feel like this apathy with life. All right. Listen, some of you already know you're living by values that don't fit you anymore. All right. But you feel guilty about letting them go because they belong to people that you love. What do I mean when I say that? You're living off the values that grandma lived off of. You're living off the values that granddad lived off of. You're living off the values that maybe you were, maybe you went to the service, maybe, a different, maybe in the house you grew up in, this is what they believe, but you've outgrown that. Or maybe the ecosystem you're in now, it just doesn't work for you. All right. But you don't want to let go of those values, right? Because letting go of those values belong to the people that you love, right? And so it's causing this internal conflict. But I want you to know that it's okay to outgrow inherent values. Okay, it's okay. It's okay for you to outgrow inherent beliefs and inherited stories. All right, letting go isn't dishonoring these people. Okay. Good morning, brother. Pep said, "Amen." Right? Letting go of this isn't dishonoring them, right? It's realignment with you. And that's one of the things that we have to say. We have to really start living in this, and you living in alignment with you is not dishonoring them, right? It's about you aligning with yourself, right? So you are not abandoning your roots, you guys. You're actually replanting with intention. All right. You're replanting yourself for your harvest, right? You are a part of, it's kind of like yeah, you are part of somebody else's, I don't know, seeds, right? But then you get permission to go out and plant your garden, and you get the autonomy and freedom to let your garden look how it's supposed to look, right? How you want it to look. And maybe you came from a family that love roses. I'm giving an example. And so you feel compelled to only have roses, right? But it's something about the lilies that you love. But you like, man, nobody had lilies in my family. I feel like I got to keep up the roses, right? But no, maybe you were called to introduce lilies to your lineage, right? And when you start to introduce that, there's an alignment and a peace that starts to happen in you. Now, when you don't do that, you start to feel this inner conflict, this inner resentment, this bitterness, and that is when you start to I'm saying it softly, like die on the inside, right? Like really start to question, really start to feel used by other people. And that's when we really start to fall into more of this victim kind of mindset. And we don't have to do that. Okay, we can give ourselves permission to move and grow and align with ourselves. Okay, so I want to ask you something. I want to ask you something, right? Before I do that, I want to say this: God doesn't bless performance, you guys. He blesses alignment. All right. God doesn't bless performance, He blesses alignment. And a lot of us are performing, but we're not aligned, right? We're doing things, right? Because it looks good to other people, because it's the values that our grandmother holds. So our grandmother is giving us accolades. Our supervisor is giving us accolades. Maybe our mates is giving us accolades. Our kids are giving us accolades. Our parents is giving us accolades, right? But it's performative. It's transactional. But listen, God ain't blessing that, right? Because it's not in alignment with who you are. And you feel that, right? And that's why no matter how somebody, that's why that kind of I talk about that dis-ease starts to grow, because you're in performance mode and not in alignment. All right. So I'm gonna ask you, can you name right now today, can you name your top 5 values right now? Really without Googling it? Like today, what are my top 5 values? All right. If not, that's okay. That's okay. That's what this week is for, right? For you to really define them on purpose instead of by default, for the person you are today. All right. For the man you are today and for the woman you are today. All right. We're gonna take that deep dive. All right. So here's our guiding thought for today, or for today's session. All right. You cannot build a new life with old blueprints. All right. You must rewrite your story to align with your values, with your values. All right. You cannot build a new life with old blueprints. You must rewrite the story to realign with your values. All right. You have been given a life, and you must align the life that you have been given based off of your values, based off of your experiences, based off of your desires and needs, because that's unique to you, you guys. And I want to tell you how important it is. You have an iris that's unique to you. That's the thing, the eye. You have a fingerprint that's unique to you. There's a DNA that's unique to you. Okay. And so we have to give ourselves permission to step into our uniqueness. And yes, it is a vulnerability that comes with that, which is again why we have to come back into community to support us in that, in our growth, in our understanding of ourselves, right? And give ourselves permission to really step into our greatness. All right. So we have Claire, okay? Claire this morning. Growing up, she was the dependable one, okay? The helper, the peacemaker, right? The one who always put others first. Every time she made someone's life easier, she was praised. You're such a good girl. You're so mature. You're so helpful, right? That affirmation felt like love to Clara, right? Over time, Claire began to equate her value with her youthfulness, all right? Her self worth was built on how much she could give, how much she could fix, and guys, how much she could sacrifice. All right. So as an adult, she carried the same value into every space: her job, her relationship, even her faith walk. But eventually, but eventually, the constant self-sacrifice caught up with her. Right? She was exhausted, she was resentful, and silently angry that no one saw how much she was given. But the truth was, she hadn't seen herself. She hadn't seen herself. So one day, doing our work together, right? Um, so one day doing our work together, she paused long enough to really ask, where did I learn this from? Right? Where did I learn this from? Whose value is this really? Whose value is this really? The moment she asked that and we paused and gave her room to really think about it, you guys, something cracked open in her, right? She realized that her value didn't have to be tied to what she did for others, right? She could be loved for who she was, not just for what she gave, you guys. And from that place of clarity, she began to write a new story, one that was rooted in authenticity, boundaries, rest, and self-worth, you guys. Melissa said helpful, honest, helper, peacemaker, humility, and all developed after hardship. Those are some good values, Miss Melissa. I like that. I like that list. All right. So thank you for sharing. So Clara had developed, she had started to equate her value as an individual to helping people. How many of us have done that? Drop a heart in the chat, right? That she had picked up that because people were like, hey, you're such a good girl, you're so mature, you're always so helpful, right? This felt like love to her when she was younger. And so to get love when she got older, guess what she did? She sought out that type of thing, and those became her values, right? So she sought out those type of affirmations. But what happened when she got older is it didn't feed her the same. That's what I'm saying, you guys. It didn't hit the same. All right. And she didn't realize, she like, where did that come from? Why do I feel a need to fix, save, and all of that? All right. So I want you to pause. I want you to pause, and I want you to think about a story that that you were taught that really shaped your current value system, right? That really that really shaped it. Does it serve the person you are becoming? All right. And this is sort of what you do. If you're in a safe space, I really want you to kind of either close your eyes or really just take a moment, about 10 seconds, and I want you to ask yourself this: what part of me is living someone else's story right now? What part of me is living someone else's story right now? Right? So I know that I, the when I was younger, I helped my grandparents a lot, right? They were older. My grandmother was older, and I used to have to like set her pills up and get her insulin shots. And I was affirmed for that. Like, oh, you're such a good girl. Like, you helped me out so much. And that did feel good to me, right? And so when I got older, it was that, right? It was that attention, like, oh, let me help so that I can get that feeling, right? And what I realized was that that wasn't it for me. That wasn't what I needed as an adult. That was cool for me as a kid. So when I did this exercise, I realized I was living out my grandmother's story, right? What part of so this question is, what part of me is living someone else's story right now? That, oh, you're such a little girl, you're so helpful. That was my grandmother's story of me, right? And I had said it one day in one of my interviews, like, I know what my mama wanted for me. I know what my daddy wanted for me. I know what my grandmother wanted for me, right? But what I had not understood and come to realize is what I wanted for me. What does Sheila need? What does Sheila want from me? And that is where we start to really do the work, right? What does Sheila value? What does Sheila need, right? And I want you to ask yourself that. What part of me is living someone else's story? Because listen, living out of alignment is like wearing shoes that don't fit you guys. They may look good, right? But they are blisters on your soul, right? They will build blisters on your soul. And so many of us are wearing someone else's values on us, and we have blisters on our souls right now because they don't fit us, right? They fitted the dependent us, they fitted the old us, the little girl us, the little boy us, But the grown person us, they don't fit that anymore. And we got to do the work to really realize what fits us today. All right. If that makes sense, put a heart in the chat for me. Okay. Right. Listen, stories shape beliefs. Beliefs shape our values, and our values shape the way we show up in the world. All right. If your story was rooted in survival or performance, if your story was rooted in survival or performance, your values may reflect fear, not truth. All right. You are allowed to update your story. You are allowed to update your story, you guys. Listen, when you live out of alignment with your real values, you really end up exhausted, resentful, and confused. Not because you're broken, and I really want us to fix that. It's not because you're broken, it's because you're misaligned. You're misaligned, you guys. If you want to feel more peace, you want to feel more peace when you make decisions. You want to feel more peace when you make decisions. You want a life that reflects who you are, not who you had to be. Okay? You want a life that reflects who you are, not who you have to be. And as an adult, you have the authority to create a life that reflects who you are today. Okay? I didn't realize I was I had a client that said this. I didn't realize I was living my mother's values until I couldn't breathe in my own life. Once I redefined what success meant for me, I felt the freedom for the first time. That is a direct quote from one of my clients. I didn't realize I was living my mother's values until I couldn't breathe in my own life, right? Once I redefined what success meant for me, I felt the freedom, right? I felt freedom for the first time. Listen, studies in identity development shows that value clarification leads to increased emotional wellness and decision making confidence, you guys. You want a life to reflect what matters to you, right? Don't you? All right. Good morning, Tiana. Miss Jackie said, I'm working on it now. Okay. Right. Right. You want a life that reflect what matters to you at your big age of 46, 47, 39, 52, 60, right? 35, right? And we have to get courageous enough to do the work. And again, it's not that we're betraying, right, the things that we inherited. No, that those things bring us here, right? But they won't take us there. All right. We have to do the work. We have to figure out what works for me. This weekend I was with my Jack and Jill family, um, moms, and I was talking about the conversation I had with purpose, and I was, sharing with them the conversation that we discussed on purpose, and I was saying that, but one of them was talking about her love for plants, and I was telling her, she had shared that like her dad basically told her that she would make money making, doing plants. She wouldn't make money doing plants. And, I'm like, but that may be true, but maybe your love for plants have nothing to do with your vocational purpose, right? Maybe your love for plants has everything to do with your personal purpose. Maybe it's the thing you need to do to get the energy that you need to be able to do your vocation, to be able to be the mom, to be able to be the wife, right? To be able to show up and feel more in alignment because of your personal relationship with plants, right? And that's the importance of really understanding your purpose and moreover, alignment. But she was still living from her father's values. That's why I'm bringing this up because her father valued what? Getting a education that aligns with what? Uh, financial security. That was his value system. right? And she was still aligned with that value. And she didn't have to abandon that. She just needed to expand, right? Expand, like, oh, I don't have to abandon what he taught me. I can expand, though, how I see that and still incorporate what I need, right? Because I do have a relationship with plants. So, how do I incorporate that into my life and start prioritizing the things that I value? Does that make sense? Put a heart in the chat for me if that makes sense. Okay. So what you need to know about, so let's go into the framework. All right. So we know that stories, right? So today is Mindset Reset Monday. We talk about stories on Mondays, right? In the story, so these stories about values really come from our families, our faith-based communities, culture, and trauma. Okay, they shape the beliefs you didn't even know were guiding you, you guys. This is so important. One of the big things about life lessons is to really incorporate some things that you didn't even know was guiding you. And now, right, you get to question them, right? You get to really dig a little deeper and question them, right? You get to choose again, right? You get to go in and take a second look at your life with new information, right? Now, the my axe in that is that you don't take the new information. Anybody who's on here who work with me know that my axe is always, we don't take the new information and apply it to old situations, right? Because you only know what you know until you know something different. All right. And so we take new information and we apply it what? To our future. We can't take new information and say, oh, I wish I would have known that when I was, because now you're repeating the pattern of what? Victim, right? Now you're just repeating a pattern of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. The empowered state is I'm glad I know now, and now I can do something different, right? With this new information. All right. So here's the thing: stories shape our beliefs, beliefs shape our values, and values what? Shape our life. That's it. Every value you hold started with the story. Something you saw, something you heard, something you experienced or absorbed. For example, right? You saw your parents work hard without complaining, right? So now you may value hard work and sacrifice, right? We grew up in Michigan, right? So we understand that a lot of individuals, this was a very plant-based, industry, right? So our parents went to work and they would work 7 days a week, 12 hours sometimes, mandatory overtime, 7 days a week, right? So we saw them, and what would they say, right? I'm putting food on the table for you, right? So we saw them, right? We saw our parents work hard without complaining, right? And so unconsciously, right, we could have caught the belief, right? I work hard, right? I I value hard work and self-sacrifice, right? Because my parents did it for me, now I'm doing it, right? And I'm not conscious of that. Another one, and I'm gonna put it in I statements. I was praised for being helpful, right? So that now I believe I must earn love through service, right? So now I value being needed. All right. That's a pattern. I was praised for being helpful when I was little, when I brought the nice glass of, ice water. That was so funny to me. Now that I'm older, my grandma would say, you make the best ice water. It's just so what? I think about that now, but I really did feel like I made the best ice water when I was a little girl, right? So you was praised for being. Who else felt like they made the best ice water? Because my grandparents always like, you make the best ice water. I don't know how you make good ice water because it's ice and it's water, but I digress. Um, I was praised. So I was praised for being helpful, right? So what that taught me was I believe I must earn love, what? Through service, right? And then now I value what? Being needed. Okay. See how that works? All right. And then another one, I was told emotions were weak, right? And what that means is that now I value strength and I hide my vulnerability, right? So I value being strong, right? Because I was told that that emotions were weak, right? But I want you to know that you can't shift your values if you don't first really explore, right, the beliefs that shape them. All right. So this is a truly just an introduction to how this happens, but there is a deeper exploration that I want you guys to really challenge yourself to go through, right? Where did my values come from and how did they shape, how I'm showing up now? All right. Another thing is your values are built on beliefs you haven't challenged. All right. Listen, many people think that they value certain things, but they're actually just repeating what they were taught, okay, to believe. Listen, many people think they value certain things, but guess what? You actually just repeating what you've been taught to believe. A lot of us feel like we're so independent and we think independently, but no, you was taught to think the way you think, you know? If you haven't went in and really said, just if we even go to politics, why are you a Democrat? Why are you a Republican? Let's go to your religious background. Why are you choosing the religion that you choose? Right? Have you went in as an adult to really ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? Right? Your relationship with God. Why do I believe in a higher power? What is that personal thing for me? Right? Or was I taught to do this? Why do I go vote? Right? Am I voting because I was taught to vote, or have I really thought about that process? Right? So a lot of us think that we're doing certain things, right? Many people think that they value certain things, but you're not, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm not saying that to judge you. I'm saying just let's just think about it. Let's just think about it. We're actually just repeating what we were taught to believe. All right? All right. And if you never question, right, the origin of your behaviors, you'll end up living in default, right? Not by design. And that's why I'm saying that a lot of us are living in default and not by design. And we're wondering, why can I manifest the life I want? Because you're still in default. And we have to design the life you want. And again, that's why this series is about planning, right? Planning a life, really seizing control over your life choices so we can have a conscious conversation, right, about some things, hopefully push you to invest in deeper investigation of your life. All right. So I want to ask you, I want you to ask yourself, is the values that I live for from truly mine, or are they borrowed from my friends or, my work environment? Did I inherit them, or are they absorbed? Did I absorb them? Okay. Listen, beliefs become your behavior blueprint. All right. you you will always live out what you believe to be true, even subconsciously. Right? So if you believe rest is lazy, you will never value margin. All right? You will never value like getting rest, right? Because you believe that rest is lazy. If you believe you must earn love, right, you will always overgive, right? Because you see love as performative. That's a belief system. All right. And if you believe you're not enough, you will consistently strive, even in sacred spaces, right? You will consistently give and give and give, right? Until you shift your beliefs, you guys, the behaviors will always repeat themselves. Beliefs are so powerful now, and I go back to this powerful God that created this mechanism, you know, called the human species, right? And we have a body that we can design to work for us. Okay. Good morning, Michelle. Right. That we can design to work for us, right? That has been designed to work for somebody else, right? So when we're younger, right, we did what our environment told us to do. So it was designed to what? Help other people, right? But when we get older, right, we can redesign our mind to work for us, because first we build our habits, then our habits make us. All right, so Melissa said, I learned the power of the word no. Yes. And I say the power of the word no is in the N-O, but it's also in the K-N-O-W. I know. I know why I'm saying no, right? That is the power of the word no, knowing exactly what my no means. So I feel comfortable in sitting in that. Okay. And then Sticky said, I can say, I can say most of my values come from my family. Now, I can say that most of my values come from my family now that I think about it. Yes. Yeah. Most of our values come from our families, come from our families, come from our environments. We really haven't thought about it. I work with so many people that's about to get married, that's about to get in relationships, and I'm asking, like, why are you getting married? Why are you doing this? Because my mama told me, because my daddy told me, because I'm like, well, let's think about it. I'm not saying don't do it, but what are your values? And anyone who works with me know that we have a whole segment on values, right? Where did these values come from? How do you feel that? And we're constantly trying to incorporate those values because it's an important part of who you are becoming, right? And maybe this is an outdated a value that we need to update, right? That we need to update because, like I said, until you shift these beliefs, right? These values, the behavior will always repeat itself. And I want to go back to stories shape our beliefs shape our values, and our values, you guys, they shape our life. And some of us just don't even understand our values. Again, some of us don't even understand what's important to us. We're so living a life of about what's important to other people. And then we feel voiceless, right? We're living a life of what's important to our supervisor, what's important to my mom, what's important to my kids, what's important to my spouse. And then we feel like they're leaving us out. They're not thinking about us. And I'm like, it is some truth. Somebody not thinking about you, but I don't know if it's them not thinking about you more than it's you not thinking about you, because you haven't taken the time to really think about what you value and what's important to you. And maybe you're looking out for these people because family, what is important to you? Maybe you're looking out and maybe you're a hard worker because what? Work is important to you. But we need to bring those things up to the surface so what? You can sit in it. So your yes can be yes and your no could be no. And we know why you working hard, because what? You value work. Right? You value work. You have a work ethic, but you know that now. So you're not working hard to get the accolades from the supervisor. We've updated your value system. So I know why you going in and working hard, because you know that's one of your values, right? And so now you can give yourself a high five because you've aligned. Now you feel like you're in alignment. And so you don't need the external validation, right? Or you understand that family is important to me, right? So you're not doing it because you know you value family, so you're looking out for family, but because you haven't updated that, because it was given to you, right? So now you're doing it from the paradigm again. I'm talking about emotional intelligence when I say this. You're doing it from I should take care of my family, which is a paradigm, right? A duty paradigm, versus from the integrity paradigm is I value family. So I'm doing this two different energies, same behavior, but the intention is different. So from a should, that's like more transactional. I should be doing this. From a value, from an integrity though, that's activity. That's me doing it because I want to. That's going to generate a totally different energy. But if I don't update my my value system and understand that, right, then I'm misaligned. Okay. So I really want you guys to understand the importance of updating your value systems. Okay. So there's the conflict values and internal chaos, right? Have you ever felt stuck, tired, or torn? It might be because you say, right? You say you value peace, but you keep choosing people pleasing behaviors, right? You say you value health, but believe productivity is what earns worth, right? And I'm saying over productivity, right? You say you value faith, but you live in fear of disappointing others all the time, right? So this internal tug of war is not laziness, you guys. It's not anything out other than misaligned. You're saying one thing and doing another. We're not going to judge that this morning. We're going to become aware of it and then ask yourself, do you want to do something about that? All right? Listen, when you clarify your values, decision make decision making really gets easier, you guys. Values act like your filter, right? They help you, right? They help you know when to say yes and when to say no, like Miss Melissa said, right? They stop um they they help you to stop asking for permission and really what start to become more empowered, right? They help you align your goals, right, with who you actually are, right? Not performative goals, but alignment goals, right? And then they move you guys out of guilt into groundedness. All right. So when you know what you stand for, you stop shrinking for who won't stand for you. Okay. So when you know what you stand for, you guys, you really stop shrinking for who won't stand for you. Right? Even remember we talking about that inner critic, even the inner critic that won't stand for you, right? This inside voice, you stop shrinking for that too. All right. So key points that I want to make is that your values don't start with you. They're shaped, right? They're shaped. So your values aren't random. They come from the stories, the environments, and the voices and the moments that really imprinted you, right? So I want you to ask, who or what uh who or what first taught you this, right? Did I find it in a church? Was this in my family? Is this a cultural thing, right? Did trauma teach me this, right? Was it success or failure, right? We don't just inherit genes, you guys. We inherit belief systems, all right? And a lot of us are living out our belief systems, all right? All right, listen, not all values you inherit are yours to keep. All right. Not all values that we have inherited are ours to keep. Some values are rooted in fear, performance, perfectionism, and protection. Not true, right? And I want you to know that I want you to ask, are you living by values you choose? Or are you or values you were trained to survive by? All right. Some of your values were survival mechanisms, right? They were given to you to help you survive in that season of your life, right? They got you here, which like I always say, that they got you here, but they won't take you to where you're going. All right. If you're trying to thrive and expand and heal and grow, we got to change your value system, right? Update your language. All right. Right? And then you're allowed to update your story. I want to continue to repeat this to you guys. You are allowed to update your story. Okay. You can become a story shaped. I mean, just because your story shaped you doesn't mean that it owns you, you guys. Just because your story has shaped you up until this point doesn't mean it owns you, right? Um, so I want you to ask, what values would my future self fight to protect? Right? What values would my future self fight to protect? And then I also want you to think about um, what's the cost of living out of alignment for me, right? Is it the exhaustion? Is it the people pleasing? Is it resentment or bitterness, right? Towards your own yes. All right. Listen, when we are betraying our own values for the comfort of others, right, that's a cost, right? And we don't want to pay that anymore, or we just want to be aware that we are paying that. All right. Listen, you can honor your past, you guys, uh, without handing it the pen to your future. We can honor the past without handing it the pen to our future. We can rewrite. We can slowly start to shift. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, and we can join a community that really helps to support us, right? And know that it will take time, but with the right language, with the right values in this discovery stage, right? With the right information, we can start to get back in alignment. All right. Because you are allowed to question your story, you are allowed to shift your beliefs, and you are allowed to choose new values that honor the woman you're becoming, the man you're becoming. All right. The person that you're becoming. All right. If you like that, put a heart in the chat for me as we start our biblical wisdom. All right. Right. So our biblical wisdom today is Proverbs 23, 4 and 23. We've had this one before. So this one is above all else, guard your heart, for everything you know, for everything you do flows from it. All right. For everything you do flows from it. Listen, this verse isn't about guarding your heart from fear or putting up walls. And I want to say that over and over again every time I introduce this verse, because I think that when we hear this verse, we really do think about it as guarding, right? Like protecting ourselves. Um, this verse isn't about guarding your heart from fear or putting up walls. It's really about being intentional about what you allow to define your identity, right? Influence your decisions and really shaping your narrative, right? In this session, right? In this session, I'm really asking you to pause and really question the stories that has shaped your values. So in this verse really affirms that, right? The heart in this scripture really represents the core of who we all are, right? Our beliefs, our motives, and our values, you guys. And this verse says, watch over it with wisdom and care, because your entire life flows from this place. Your entire life flows from this place. And like I said, a big part of the project life is to what? Get back in relationship with our hearts, right? We will get so thought caught up in our thoughts, right? What do we think? What do we think? What do we think? And we have to get back into how do I feel and understand that I'm safe to feel. It's okay for me to feel this. Even if it brings tears to my eyes, even if I get emotional, I'm safe as an adult to feel this, right? Because I'm thawing, right? I've been solid. I've been a block of ice for far too long, right? And I can transform and I can melt, right? And I can melt, and it's okay because I'm safe in this emotion. And in that thawing, right, we're looking for some transformations to happen for us, but that connection, that mind heart connection, that's the next space. That's our next space of growth. And so we have to be open to this emotion, to this emotional space. All right. Because like I said, the heart in this scripture really represents the core of who we are, right? Your beliefs, your motives, and your values. And this verse really says, watch over it with wisdom and care, you guys, because your entire life flows from that place. All right. All right. So you've been shaped by the stories. You have been shaped by the stories, but not all of these stories, right, deserve to lead you anymore. Not all of the stories that you've heard about you, not all of the stories that you've been told about you, and not all of the stories that you believe about you as of today deserve to lead you anymore, you guys. All right. All right. So this verse really gives you permission to pause, to reflect, and then protect what you now want to live by, not just what you inherited. Okay. Not just what you inherited. So let's take a pause and let's really start thinking about our values and our beliefs, right? So that our hearts can pour, right, from a place that is aligned with who we are. So let's take a leap, together, together. Okay. Ezekiel, our promise verse, Ezekiel 36 and 24. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I remove you from your old heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Okay. So this verse really speaks to transformation, right? The inner renewing, not outer performance. It reminds us that even the most deeply held beliefs and value systems can be rewritten. Okay. It's not about willpower. It's not only about willpower. It's not always about willpower. It's about receiving permission to evolve. All right. The heart of stone represents outdated, hardened thinking that was useful once, but guys, it's no longer alive. That part of it's no longer alive, right? It's no longer serving you. All right. A new heart really symbolizes the freedom to really live from your values, not your wounds, not your conditions, and not your old identity. All right. You are not just you're not just I'm not just asking you to analyze. Let me say it like this. I'm not just asking you to analyze your values, you guys. I guess I'm inviting you to really experience more of a heart level transformation, right? And really asking you, when I say prioritize your values, it's, can we get back in relationship with our heart? And do you feel safe enough to do that? Right. So you don't have to keep living from your old belief systems because you're not stuck. All right. God is not just trying to patch up your God is not just trying to patch up your past, right? He's giving you permission really to choose a new foundation. All right. All right. And I'm asking this because I really want you to ask you, you know, am I ready to change? Am I ready to transform? And am I ready to shift? Am I ready to become aligned? And again, I think about alignment. I love the word because if you think about alignment, you think about the clicks, right? The kind of like, it's not just like voila, alakazam, poof, right? It's like the gears, right? It's like the what's that, Rubik's cube. I'm figuring out and I'm getting all the matching on one side. And guess what? It is an adventure, but the adventure, that relationship with yourself, is sometimes in the journey. It's so it's fulfilling. It's some fulfillment in that and getting back in relationship with who you are. All right. All right. Listen. Um, these scriptures aren't abstract. They're really they're really relevant because God is not this far off deity, right? Watching us, right? Watching you write your story, right? He is in you, co-writing, co-writing the story with you. All right. He is with you, co-writing this story with you. Okay. All right. So I want you to ask yourself, what would it look like to guard your heart? Not with walls, but with wisdom, and allow God to really rewire what you believe about yourself and your values. And when I say God to rewire, again, there are promises like everything's working for my good, right? That he that is in me is greater than he that is in the world, right? Or even some universal laws, right? Cause and effect, right? The polarity of life, like, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. I love that. What that means is that for every good thing I do, guess what? Some good gonna happen, some bad gonna happen. So I ain't surprised. That's a universal law. So when something bad happens, I'm not questioning why did that happen. I understand why that happens because that's a universal law, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So my choice is what am I going to pay attention to? I'm going to pay attention to the alignment because I also know for every action, there's an equal response too. So guess what? I do something good is going to follow it. So am I going to pay attention to the thing that's good that's going to follow it, or am I going to pay attention to the bad thing that's going to follow it? Right? So aligning in God's wisdom is also in these universal laws that what allow me to sit and be sound in my decisions and know that for every action there's an equal opposite reaction. I'm gonna do good things. People gonna say bad stuff about it, and people gonna say good stuff about it, right? I'm a, you know, I'm gonna do something good, and Somebody gonna like it and somebody ain't gonna like it, right? And even when I do good things in me, I'm gonna work out, and some days I'm gonna feel bad, some days I'm gonna feel good, right? So taking that universal principle and applying it in real life reality really brings what? Some peace, some alignment. All right, all right. That makes sense. Put a heart in the chat. So let's go into our action step today. We only have one action step. And that step for today is to, so our action step is to identify one value you're currently living by that no longer serves you, and then write the new value you're choosing to embrace. All right. And then write the new value that you're choosing to embrace, you guys. And then our affirmation for today is I release. I release the story of survival and embrace the value of alignment. And then our intention is today. Today I choose. Put this up here. Today I choose to. Today I choose to build from truth, not from programming, right? And I know we use these words like programming and things like that, and it makes us feel so, I think it makes people feel so vulnerable. But I do want you to know, I think that's the beauty of who we are, because we can be programmed, and we put so much emphasis on external programs, like all the external, like, oh, they program you with the TV, but the truth of the matter is that we are highly influential beings, right? Like, it's just a truth that anything has the potential to influence us. So we definitely want to be mindful of the things that we put in our minds and things like that, because we are just influential. Listen, if you around somebody and they say, yeah, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, guess what you're gonna start saying? You know what I'm saying? Because that is just how the mind works. But I think that's also the beauty of the mind. Because if I know that, right, then I can intentionally do things, because I know my mind is created to learn, to absorb, and to grow. All right. So our bonus challenge is, listen, pause before every major decision and ask, is this choice aligned with the story that I want to, that I know? Wait, let me see this. Is this choice aligned with the story I want to keep living? Okay. Is this choice aligned? Y'all see I be putting words in. Yeah. All right. And then we have our call, our challenge, and our charge for the day. So the call is, what truth are you walking away with today? Okay. And then our challenge is, what's your next brave step? And then our charge is, listen, go shape your life with the values that reflect your future, not just your past. Okay. And if this session resonated with you, you already know what to do. Put a heart, put a fire in the chat. Good morning, Miss Lorraine. Put a fire in the chat. Put a fire in the chat for me. If this session resonated with you, put a fire in the chat. All right. And if this session woke up something in you, this is exactly the kind of insight that we explore. And where in our weekly labs, you guys, we don't just reflect, we help to reshape our stories. And you already know, if you want to go deeper, we have that growth membership where you get the tools and the structures, right? Because your growth deserves more than just a moment. It deserves a container, right? And so that's why we have Project Life. If you want to join, make sure you join for that $47 a month at ShielaLittle.com/life. And remember, if you can shape it in your mind, you guys, you can have it in your life. I love you. I love you. I love you. I will see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow as we talk about triggers, right? The triggers that's really getting in the way of us seizing control of our life, you guys, and creating a plan. Okay. I love you. I love you. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for that life lesson. Miss Jackie said fire. Thank you guys for the fires. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Till later.